The Bible tells me whatever is born of God overcomes the world. And so even when we didn't have any support, somehow God provided. My name's Lydia. By the grace of God, I happen to be the founder of Children's Center, and this far God has been so very, very faithful. I happen to be born into serious Christian families. They were not just Christians, they practiced Christianity. My father was kind of a preacher man, and I was born of 8 children. God eventually called me into the ministry, and God also gave me the burden for 3 children. My parents accommodated so many children who were left by their parents when their parents went out in the bush to fight for freedom and left the children behind. And so sometimes we are just packed in the house, and my mother and my father fed so many children at that given time. And not only children, even some parents came to live with us. And I think that's how and when I started, the vision was born. I would see the 3 children, and at that given moment, there were very, 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 very many. And they touched my heart, and like I would cook mandazis for them, because naturally they would want money. But you know, you are giving them money to go and buy the glues and things. But I chose to be making mandazis for them. I would fill my basket. And so when I'm driving in Nairobi and they come to me, and especially at the parking lots or even at the traffic light, I have something to give to them. I used to cook very, very early in the morning, and I would bring food. We were feeding them on an open space near the government offices. They would come, they would eat, and then they would go back to their places, to the streets. I asked friends and I and my children, they were really doing a good job in helping me to run this home. So I asked them whether they could help, and we put up those temporary structures that are there. And when we had put the structures, I re-invited the boys, or we reinvented the wheel, and we started on. Had the national crisis in the year 2007 and 2008, there were those who they called IDPs, people who had been displaced from their places, and they came to settle anywhere and everywhere. And like I had quite a number in my house. And the then chief government officer came to the center. They had just put up the hall, and the officer wanted us to take 50 boys. And he wanted them to be sleeping on the floor while the government sorted their affairs. Yeah. But it was not doable. So I told this man, it is not possible for us to take the children. Already they are so traumatized, yeah. And we bring them and they'll be sleeping down on the floor. So I asked a few of my friends whether we can buy beds and blankets. That's when my friends helped me. We were able to buy beds and blankets, and we were able to accommodate 50 children. The government officer gave me a written confirmation that the government is going to support, but they were not able to honor their obligation. They didn't do it. I went into debts. I went to the shops. I went to wherever. I asked my friends. I asked myself, and I entered into debts, and I felt like this cannot go on. And so I decided I was going to close the home. And I prayed about it, and I told the boys that I had to warn them that I was going to close the home. And some of them really, really wept, and some of them asked very tough questions. One of them said he was going to hang himself if he gets out of the home. Another one said he's going to look for a gun and he would be shooting people in the streets. And that went on and on and on. until my children and some friends helped bailed me out, gave me some money. I was able to pay for the outstanding bill of water and electricity, and the shops where I had taken food, and I knew that was going to be temporary. But again, God continued coming. Because all these children, we had to send them to schools, and we needed uniform, we needed to go to the schools again and again to talk to the teachers in the school. But by the grace of God, we did not close the home. Once or twice or thrice, I had purpose to close the home because of the heavy burden that was on my shoulders. It's very encouraging to say that eventually we were out of that mess. For a very long time, I had prayed that the boys will have a permanent place, and so we were left there and just trusting God. I had others who would come and go. Sometimes they would come and be with the boys, or help in one way or the other and go. But the most exciting moment was when I met Jim and April, and I saw seriousness in them in wanting to help. When he had bought that property, I had desired that we are going to build, and I had put up many proposals, but nothing was coming up. But when Jim and April came up, there was now new light and there was hope. And I'll forever be grateful to God for them and remain excited, because they have caused my dream to become a reality in a much, much bigger way than I would have ever expected.